Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
हैदराबाद हाउस बैंक्वेट हॉल। सोवियत संघ की कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी की केंद्रीय समिति के महासचिव महामान्य श्री मिखाइल एस गर्बाचोव और श्रीमती राइसा एम गर्बाचोवा के सम्मान में प्रधानमंत्री श्री राजीव गांधी और श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी द्वारा रात्रि भोज का यहाँ आयोजन है। दिल्ली ने आज सोवियत संघ से आए विशिष्ट अतिथियों का भव्य स्वागत किया। महामान्य श्री मिखाइल गर्बाचोव और श्री राजीव गांधी के बीच महत्वपूर्ण वार्ता हुई जारी है। दोनों नेता विश्व शांति को स्थायी बनाने का मार्ग और उपाय खोज रहे हैं। साम्राज्यवाद, उपनिवेशवाद और रंग भेद के खिलाफ हम तब तक लड़ते रहेंगे जब तक मानवता उनसे मुक्ति न पा सके। हमारा ये अडिग विश्वास है कि जल, थल, आकाश और अंतरिक्ष में परमाणु शस्त्र नहीं होने चाहिए, तभी होगी शांति चारों ओर।
The distinguished guests at the banquet here have seated themselves. Today has been a busy day for the General Secretary since he arrived. After his arrival, he called on the President, and then the first meeting between him and Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi took place. The official talks, the first round, was held today in the South Block office of the Prime Minister, and it will continue tomorrow. Wide-ranging issues would have been touched upon in these talks, bilateral issues, as well as issues of international concern. The long table at Hyderabad House is glittering with silverware, and there are 7 chandeliers atop the long table illuminating the proceedings. In their brief speeches before the dinner, the Prime Minister and Mr. Gorbachev are expected to touch upon issues of mutual concern.
Esteemed General Secretary Gorbachev, Madam Gorbachova, distinguished Soviet guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. When friends come calling, our hearts light up. The people of India are delighted to have you in their midst. On their behalf and on behalf of the Government of India, I welcome you on your first visit to this ancient yet ever new city. We are glad India is the first Asian country you have chosen to visit. I look forward to resuming the dialogue we began in Moscow last year. It is a continuation of the dialogue which started with my grandfather over 3 decades ago. You have just celebrated the 69th anniversary of the October Revolution led by the great Lenin. He had a clear vision of the Soviet Union's glorious future. He foresaw the inevitable triumph of the struggle over imperialism. It was about then that India's struggle against colonialism entered a new phase under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. We took the path of non-violence. Nevertheless, the October Revolution had a profound impact on India's mind. Jawaharlal Nehru, whose birthday we have just celebrated, spoke eloquently of the historic significance of your revolution. He often reminded Indira Gandhi that she was born within a few days of that great event. Indo-Soviet friendship owes much to Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi. They understood the crucial role of the Soviet Union in the history of the world. Your leaders recognized India's key contribution to the making of an equitable world order. Indo-Soviet friendship is characterized by a deep appreciation of each other's aspirations, interests, and concerns. It has gained depth and maturity with the passage of time. It has remained firm and steady through the twists and turns of international politics. There must be something deeper than mutual gain to explain the endurance and vitality of this friendship. Indeed, there is. It is our abhorrence of imperialism, our struggle against colonialism and racism. It is our shared commitment to the principles of human equality and social justice. These principles transcend the differences in our historical background and in the political and social systems built by Lenin in your country and by Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru in ours. The October Revolution marked the beginning of the end of the old order in Europe. India's independence, 30 years later, tolled the death knell of classical colonialism all over the world. With the advent of nuclear weapons, peace became the foremost question before humankind. Peace was essential for the development of all newly independent countries. We had to fashion a strategy which would safeguard our freedom and enable us to progress in peace. From the very moment of independence, we took the position that military alliances and foreign bases would compromise our new, hard-won freedom. Non-alignment has grown out of our historical experience and necessities. We have nurtured an alternative vision of world stability and security based on cooperation amongst all nations and the renunciation of force. The circumstances and challenges faced by the Soviet Union have been different from ours. Your historical experience since the revolution has led you steadfastly to pursue the goal of peace. Your strong commitment to peace and disarmament has found concrete expression in various proposals. Under your leadership, the last 20 months have witnessed a most impressive contribution to the peace process. You have identified yourself with the noble vision of a world without weapons, of the human family working and flourishing in peace. I recall your moving reference to the folly of burning more resources in the furnace of the arms race. We welcome your energetic and earnest efforts to break the deadlock on nuclear disarmament. At the recent summit in Reykjavik, you made constructive and bold proposals in the spirit of the celebrated affirmation in Geneva that a nuclear war cannot be won and should not, therefore, be fought. It was unfortunate that the Strategic Defense Initiative blocked agreement. Never before had the prospects of peace looked so bright. A new beginning was so near and yet so far. The divergent perceptions at Reykjavik must not deflect the world from pursuing the proposals that were put forward at the summit. We must persevere. We resolutely opposed the militarization of outer space. It does not matter that the SDI is described as defensive. Security is not enhanced, but dangerously jeopardized by creating yet another deadly and extremely sophisticated weapon system. The logic of a shield in outer space is deeply flawed. The speed and complexity of systems of nuclear warfare eliminate human intervention. Disaster may never be willed. It might just happen one lazy afternoon. When the first atom bomb wiped out Hiroshima, Mahatma Gandhi observed with a prophet's passion, "Unless now the world adopts nonviolence, it will spell certain suicide for mankind." At the dawn of the nuclear age, Jawaharlal Nehru pointed out that the way of the atom bomb is not the way of peace or freedom. India has been true to their teachings. All these years, we have labored to make the world safe from nuclear disaster. India, with the non-aligned countries, has been at the forefront of the movement for abolition of nuclear arsenals. In January 1985, 6 nations from 5 continents met for the first time in Delhi to propose a series of concrete and realistic measures to halt the destructive arms race and to eventually banish the spectre of nuclear death. The Soviet Union responded promptly and positively by declaring a unilateral moratorium on nuclear weapon tests. At Istapa, the 6-nation initiative carried forward the argument for sanity. You have listened to the anguished cry of humanity. We hope others will too, sooner rather than later. At the recent summit of the non-aligned movement at Harare, a notable achievement was to focus world attention on the continuing outrages of the Pretoria regime in southern Africa. The summit extended full support to the valiant freedom fighters of southern Africa. It established the Africa Fund to support the frontline states in their determined struggle. One way of limiting future bloodshed and dismantling apartheid is through comprehensive mandatory sanctions. There is worldwide popular support for sanctions, but action is slow and halting on the part of those governments who are in a position to make sanctions effective. The march of history cannot be halted. Apartheid will crumble. Freedom and racial equality will triumph. There are threats to peace, stability, and security in several parts of the world. Some stem from old national rivalries. Many are the result of the relentless thrust of those who seek to extend their presence through alliances, bases, arms supply, and other arrangements. Yet others arise from some countries exploiting the politics of global confrontation to acquire weapons beyond their legitimate needs. The aggravation of the threat in our security is compelling us to divert scarce resources from development to defense. We should endeavor to remove or lessen such tensions. Bilateral mechanisms must be given a chance to work without outside interference. Regional arrangements should be encouraged to enhance trust, stability, and cooperation. The UN system should be strengthened for global peace. The Pacific Ocean has traditionally been an area of rivalry. The Indian Ocean is now being rapidly turned into a theater of conflict. Efforts to demilitarize the Indian Ocean under the UN auspices and to ensure its status as a zone of peace have been frustrated by vested interests. The threat to the independence and integrity of the littoral and hinterland states is real and increasing. For decades, the people of India cherished the vision of a resurgent, prosperous Asia, no longer the plaything of others, but an active and equal partner in the shaping of history. This vision began to acquire reality with the countries of Asia achieving independence. National independence brought new responsibilities, especially the task of rebuilding economies shattered by exploitation. Our leaders stressed the need of peace for development, peace in the entire world, peace in our region, and peace with our neighbors. Jawaharlal Nehru convened an Asian Relations Conference here in New Delhi in March 1947, in which the Asian republics of the Soviet Union also participated. He declared, "In this atomic age, Asia will have to function effectively in the maintenance of peace. Indeed, there can be no peace unless Asia plays her part. There is today conflict in many countries, and all of us in Asia are full of our own troubles. Nevertheless, the whole spirit and outlook of Asia are peaceful, and the emergence of Asia in world affairs will be a powerful influence for world peace." Since that time, we in India have endeavored to fashion concepts which would regulate relations between nation states in a peaceful, friendly, and cooperative manner. Panchsheel, the Bandung Principles, and the vitality of non-alignment provide the intellectual and political framework for a new pattern of international relations both in Asia and in the world. Nationalism is a tremendous force in the countries of Asia today. It fills them with a new energy to realize their aspirations for a better life. But we know from history that excesses of nationalism produce tension and conflict. To build a cooperative and peaceful world order, we have to progress beyond narrow local loyalties and learn to regard the world as one family. This is the great political concept that has shaped the Indian outlook through the ages. This century has seen Rabindranath Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Indira Gandhi repudiate narrow nationalism. The profound richness and diversity of the Asian tradition, the ancient wisdom of our societies, and our vital urge to transform our social and economic conditions for the welfare of our peoples give us a promising starting point for a new pattern of peace and stability, development and cooperation of our continent. The Soviet Union, which stretches across Asia, has naturally to be a part of this endeavor. In this context, it is fitting to recall your thought-provoking reflections on this theme at Vladivostok. The fundamental postulates of Panchsheel, Bandung, and non-alignment, to which you referred, provide a framework for thinking through the complex and historically specific problems of peace and stability in Asia and the Pacific region. What is important is the process of breaking through the fears, the inhibitions, and the unhappy experiences of the past. Greater exchange of ideas at all levels is needed to work out a basis for cooperation in diverse fields. Step by step, we may move towards our objective of harmonious relations based on freedom, equality, and justice. Towards this end, you have made a major contribution. Indo-Soviet friendship has been a factor for global peace and stability. The Soviet Union has consistently supported India's efforts to consolidate its independence and safeguard its national interest. Our friendship is not directed against anyone. True friendships never are. A major landmark in the evolution of our friendly relations was the signing of the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace and Friendship and Cooperation in 1971. It remains a source of strength for our respective countries. Its importance has increased in the context of the current world situation and recent events in our part of the world. India sees in the Soviet Union a trusted friend who has stood by us in moments of trial and anxiety. We value the help we have received from the Soviet Union in completing the first phase of our industrialization. We are now poised for the next phase of technological modernization. We seek higher productivity, greater efficiency, and speedier eradication of poverty. We have always envisaged increased economic cooperation with other countries while pursuing self-reliance. Cooperation with the Soviet Union in the current phase of our development could be even more significant for both countries than in the previous phase. New vistas beckon, especially in the exciting field of frontier technologies. We should not remain satisfied with the established patterns of cooperation, valuable as they are. We must reach out to new horizons. Imagination and innovation are required. While the agreements we have reached are good and useful, we should rise to still higher levels of cooperation. General Secretary Gorbachev, we have watched with admiration your efforts to bring about deep and revolutionary changes in Soviet society. Your tireless energy and your bold approach to the accumulated problems have released new forces of change and creative endeavor. You're building on the successes of the past and giving a new orientation to the entire process of development in keeping with the rising aspirations of your people. We are confident that the qualitative changes taking place now in the Soviet Union will bring our two peoples still closer. May I say how enthused we are by your emphasis on new political thinking to cope with the problems that beset humanity in the closing years of the 20th century. Nations, firm in their own political belief, must reach out to one another in good faith. We must break out of stereotyped response. We must recognize that the future cannot be hostage to the past. Confrontation must yield to peaceful coexistence. Coexistence itself must lead on to cooperation. Let us strengthen existing international institutions. Let us be innovative in building durable structures of peace, stability, and progress. Ours has been a friendship of two warm-hearted peoples. The kinship between the people of the Soviet Central Asia and India goes back many centuries. The great masters of Russian literature have made a profound mark on our own, literally, Renaissance. Our languages have been studied by Soviet scholars. We respond enthusiastically to each other's music and dance. This cultural interaction will be taken to new heights through the cultural festivals we have planned. These celebrations will open new doors in the hearts of our people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to raise your glasses to the health and success of His Excellency Mikhail Sergeyevich Gorbachev, General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, to the health of Madam Raisa Gorbachova, to the future prosperity and progress of the great Soviet people, to ever-growing friendship and cooperation between the Soviet Union and India, to friendship, to freedom, to peace.
Уважаемый господин премьер-министр, уважаемая госпожа Ганди, дамы и господа, дорогие друзья, товарищи, я уже имел возможность выразить нашу сердечную признательность правительству Индии и лично премьер-министру Радживу Ганди за приглашение посетить вашу страну. Благодарю вас, господин премьер-министр,
Respected Mr. Prime
за сказанные
Minister,
вами сейчас
respected
добрые
Mrs.
слова
Sonia Gandhi, ladies
в
and
адрес нашего
gentlemen,
народа
dear
и
friends,
нашего
comrades.
государства.
I have already had an opportunity to
Мы
express a
признательны
heartfelt
руководству
gratitude
Индии,
to the government of India and to
индийским
the Prime Minister,
государственным и
Mr. Rajiv
общественным
Gandhi,
деятелям
for the invitation to
за
visit your
высокую оценку
country.
советских
I
усилий
also thank you,
и
Mr.
инициатив
Prime
в пользу
Minister,
мира.
for the kind words
Мы
you have
знаем,
just
что это
said,
не
addressed to
просто
our
дань
people and our
вежливости.
country. We are grateful to
Курс
India's
на
leaders and
неуклонное
its
развитие
official and public
дружественных
figures for the
отношений
high
с
assessment
Индией
of Soviet
был,
efforts
есть
and
и будет
initiatives in the cause
одним
of
из
peace.
приоритетных
We know
направлений
that this is
всей
more
нашей
than just an
внешней
expression of
политики.
courtesy. Efforts to
регулярные
ensure a
советско-индийские
steady
встречи на
development
высшем
of friendly
уровне
relations with
это
India
ведущий
have
фактор
been and will
наших
remain
отношений.
a priority area in our
Они
foreign
неизменно
policy.
проходят в атмосфере
Regular
искреннего доверия
Soviet-Indian summit meetings
и
are a
понимания
major
забот
factor
и
in our
намерений
relations.
друг друга.
Such meetings
Как в
are
плане внутреннего
invariably
развития,
marked by an atmosphere
так и в
of
плане
genuine
международного.
trust, of understanding each
Сегодняшняя
other's
встреча
concerns and intentions,
с премьер-министром
both domestic and
подтверждает
international.
эту
My meeting today with the Prime Minister confirms this assessment.
надеюсь, достойно
I hope that we are
продолжаем
being
добрую
equal to the task
заложенную
of continuing the good
Джавахарлалом
tradition
Нехру
started by
и Индирой
Jawaharlal
Ганди,
Nehru and Indira
наполняя
Gandhi,
ее новым
imparting to
содержанием
it new
с
content
учетом
prompted by the
требований.
imperatives of our time.
А время сейчас
And the
сложное.
time we live in
Я бы
is
сказал,
difficult,
критическое.
and I would even say
Будет
critical.
ли человечество
Will
двигаться по
mankind
привычному,
continue along the road of power
сожалению,
confrontation,
пути
as
силовой
regrettably
конфронтации,
it has been doing,
который, в конце
a
концов,
road
приведет
that
к
would
катастрофе?
eventually lead to a catastrophe, or will it have enough wisdom, courage, and strength to break this inertia and steer the world to a road of continuous survival, of progress, and elimination of social evils and maladies? My recent meeting with President Reagan in Reykjavik has brought into sharp focus both the potential for progress toward a nuclear-free world and the obstacles and forces that block that progress. Indeed, we are witnessing an exponential growth of scientific and technological discoveries and innovations. The potential for peace and social progress is, in objective terms, also growing and gaining momentum. At the same time, the nuclear threat continues to hang over mankind. Peaceful coexistence is being subjected to harsh tests. Every day, armed conflicts and acts of terrorism take a toll of human lives. Suffering and devastation have become an everyday reality for many peoples. The chains of militarism hold up progress. The arms race devours the resources that are so badly needed to solve the burning problems affecting the lives of hundreds of millions of people. The situation urgently calls for a new approach to security issues, a new thinking in politics, and a new philosophy in international relations. Survival of mankind must be placed above all other interests, and the security of any one state is inconceivable without security for all. A few words about Soviet-Indian cooperation. Last year in Moscow, Mr. Prime Minister and I laid the groundwork for its further development in all areas. Today we have continued this work and agreed on important things. There is every reason for Soviet-Indian relations not only to remain good, but to make constant headway on the solid foundation of mutual respect, mutual benefit, and common aspirations for people. There is every possibility to make our mutual trust and friendship a still more influential factor in international life for the benefit of peace, disarmament, and development. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we are following with great interest current developments in the life of New India. We are gratified to see your accomplishments, but we also see your difficulties and problems. The government of India has put before its people a momentous task to assure that the country enters the 21st century as a highly developed nation with a powerful economic, scientific, and technological potential. The Soviet people sincerely wish you success. They wholeheartedly welcome the fact that the role of peace-loving India in the world affairs is steadily growing. May I express the confidence that this Soviet-Indian meeting will produce many positive results for the people of our two countries and for the strengthening of international security in Asia and in the world. In conclusion, I would like to wish good health and success to the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, Mrs. Gandhi, and well-being and prosperity to the great people of India. May the friendly Soviet-Indian relations strengthen and develop for the benefit of our peoples and the peace in the whole world.
Пусть крепнет и развиваются дружественные советско-индийские отношения на благо наших народов и мира во всем мире.